Cool. You're on air.
We're on air. All right. Let's double check. All right. I think, Miley, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Beautiful. All right. And we can hear you. So, all right. I know we're about a minute early here, so we'll give folks a second to start joining. I know with our last couple of AMAs, generally there's a couple folks that end up joining, a few minutes late. So I'll wait to get into the real content, the real meat. Hopefully ask you guys some hard questions. But we'll get into those questions probably, a few minutes.
How do you tell us they'll be hard questions?
Just wait, Jack.
I had a no hard question clause.
So, and if anybody needs us to speak up, or if anybody, missed anything, Miley, you can be a good judge on the other side, for at least us in this room. Just let us know. So, I'll go ahead and start. Welcome. Thank you guys for joining our third and our final Ask Me Anything session for Telluride Venture Accelerator. Our first session was with Jesse Johnson, one of the co-founders of TVA. Our second session was with a couple founders, and our third session, appropriately, is now with a few of our most engaged and highest quality mentors. Ashley's written something on...
They can all be found on our YouTube channel.
Oh, they can all be found on our YouTube channel. Thank you. So those are all recorded. If you guys do want to watch those, feel free to check those out. Again, part of this is really our intention to just make ourselves available. Make sure that anybody who's considering this program, considering Telluride, wants to learn more, just trying to be as accessible as possible. So anybody that's out there watching this, starting to join now, please ask us the questions, the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll be on it, guys, about the program, about the value that we can offer. So yeah, I'll give you a little bit of background on TVA. So TVA is entering its 5th year. My name is Mark Nogger. I'm going to be the managing director coming into this 5th year. It'll be my first program. I joined you, formerly my background, I was the co-founder of Startup Weekend. We've got that going about 2008 and went on a mission to scale that around the world. Currently, there are about 1,000 events around the world in about 140 countries. We helped develop a pre-accelerator called Startup Next. We ended up running Startup America. We also launched Startup Week. Collectively, those programs became consolidated and ran under an organization called Up Global. That organization hit about 10 million in revenue, had about 11,000 volunteers around the world, and had about 75 team members. And we sold that to Techstars. That was about 1.5 years ago. And I spent about 1 year on the executive team at Techstars as the chief community officer, until I later got recruited to join the program here at TVA. So that's how I'm joining you guys here. I am really excited to dive into the conversation now with a couple of our great mentors, Miley Bucher and Jack Gilbride. They've been involved with the program for a couple of years, and I think they are incredible representatives, having the opportunity to work with them now, really over the last year. I was a mentor myself last year, and seeing some of the teams they've worked with, and just knowing their background and their experience, and just wonderful people. So I'm going to turn it over. Miley, I think I'll ask you first. We'll go to the video chat. Just a little bit of background about yourself, and maybe really quickly your history so far with TVA.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mark. Really excited to join this tonight. Thank you for the invitation. There's nothing I like more than to talk about Telluride Venture Accelerator and the opportunity for the startups and those joining the program. I believe in it 1,000%, and I've been just thrilled to be a part of it. So my background, I have about 30 years in marketing and brand management. Approximately about half of that in the consumer packaged goods sector, and then about half of that in the outdoor industry. So with the outdoor industry, I was with Nike for 4 years in their equipment division, launching equipment just after we had bought Bauer Hockey, and I brought inline skates to global markets, and that was out in Portland, Oregon. So it's part of the product engine there. And I spent 6 years at Black Diamond Equipment, heading up global marketing and direct sales for BD for, again, 6 years, and launching helmets and headlamps and all kinds of different products there, and leading the whole brand identity redesign and product graphics and packaging and all kinds of things. Additionally, had a couple of years at Eastern Mountain Sports as their vice president of marketing for 170 some stores here on the East Coast, so outdoor specialty. And then also a couple years at Timberland, heading up marketing for North America for both our retail and our wholesale division. So that pretty much comprises my outdoor industry experience. Again, mostly hard goods, footwear, retail, and wholesale. On the consumer packaged goods side, I'd spent 7 years at Coors Beer, handling marketing, essentially experiential marketing with millennial consumers for 7 different brands, all the surfing, pro beach volleyball, rollerblading, extreme skiing, those kinds of things, product placement in film and TV. And I was the rock and roll department for 4 years, so really had a lot of fun doing that. So 7 years in beer, and then another 5 years launching startups within the Coke and Pepsi brand portfolios, either pre or post acquisition. So with Izzy, I was their vice president of marketing. This was prior to their acquisition by Pepsi, and then went into the Pepsi system for 3 years and launched a healthy beverage brand for them out of Minneapolis called NutriSoda. And then came out the other end working as VP marketing for Zico coconut water prior to their acquisition with Coke. And so it's what those years I call the Wild Wild West. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and really great opportunity, I think, to really get inside an entrepreneurial mindset and work with entrepreneurs and work really hard and see the fruits of those labors. Most recently and currently, I head up marketing for Hannaford Supermarket. So food retailing here on the East Coast, about 179, 180 stores, and having a blast there and doing all I can to get those products that I think are worth onto our shelf. So trying to pay it forward. So that's pretty much my marketing and brand experience. It's all been on client side. I started with Telluride Venture Accelerator in the first year that they launched 4 years ago. Really caught the bug in a big way, and went on to work with Mass Challenge and Boston Techstars out here on the East Coast. So that first year worked closely with Hyperlight Mountain Gear as well as Hoggle Goggle, brand marketing, marketing strategy, go-to-market programs, all kinds of things, a lot of introductions, a lot of networking. That continued for a couple of years, and then most recently, this past year, working with the graduates of the program, specifically Western Rise and Go Fish Cam and Pickett and Element Pet Nutrition, working on everything, again, from brand strategy to customer acquisition to go-to-market plans to all kinds of things, just whatever I think the need that comes up, introductions and networking and so on and so forth. So kind of all in on the TVA program. Like I said, I'm really stoked to be here, and I'm all about paying it forward right now and helping out in any which way I can. There are a lot of people that helped me along the way, and so I want to help others. So really just happy to be here. So is that hopefully that kind of covers what you're looking for?
That's perfect. I mean, you're just you're a rock star, Miley. I think the experience and the opportunity for startups to work with you. It's truly an awesome thing. So, real quick, we're getting a little feedback. Ashley, Miley, are we okay on the audio?
I'm okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can hear you.
All right, I think we're good on this side now. So, I really think our mentors are our greatest asset of any accelerator program. The type of experience that, folks like Miley and Jack can bring, it really makes or breaks a program like this. And a lot of folks, think about Telluride and they're like, oh, who are you going to have access to in Telluride? And it's truly this incredible network. Obviously, my experience through Startup Weekend with Techstars, I can absolutely vouch that some of the folks that we get to work with here are just as wonderful, if not better, than the top tier programs that I've been able to get to know over the years as well. So, Jack, let's turn to you now. Let's a little bit about your background and experience without being too humble.
Yes, well, someone said I will be humble about, but it started off after college in sales, maybe because I was shy. I got a sales job in major accounts, figuring I would not be successful, but I made quota every year for 5 years, and decided that I wanted to do more. So I went to graduate school, and then from there went on the dark side, finance, and ended up with Corporate B of A, headed up energy manufacturing functions in the Houston International office. Then went to MW Kellogg as assistant treasurer of Asia, and then went to a highly troubled public company as the number 2 person and CFO, which was kept them out of bankruptcy. We settled $25 million against AT&T. Then I found out that being number 2 is not the same as being number 1, because number 1 and I disagreed that we should spend the $25 million. So then I went back to banking, at First Interstate, which was then the 6th largest bank in the acquisition side. Eventually ran, they bought a consulting operation for Telluride. I was in the western half of that for a while, and then ran the credit card operation. And the number 2 guy, Visa, and I decided to do a startup. And we did it in Atlanta, and to do back office services for credit card companies, because we knew that there were things that we could get good vendors for. And that was great. And at least raised a total of $32 million from venture and private equity over time. Almost lost it until we got the first investment a year after we started. The second mortgages, all that kind of stuff to keep the company going. And our 2 largest clients merged, so we wanted to go public.
Sorry, speak up just a little.
Speak up a little bit. Our 2 largest clients went public, so then it was a question of, merged, so we couldn't, all the outsourced jobs were brought back in, so we weren't going to go public, and spent the next year selling off for the private equity firm the various pieces, and then they asked me to run one of the companies in their portfolio, a small one, and fix that up for 2 years till they could sell that. And I did that, and then after that, I started angel investing, primarily Silicon Valley. And I'm in some direct angel investments. I'm in 4 Silicon Valley funds and 1 in China. And currently, I'm also, besides the joy of being a mentor for 3 years at the accelerator here, I'm also now the executive advisor to the Telluride Venture Fund. So I'm very actively involved, and I hope to see all of the graduates that come from the accelerator program that they'll be worthy of getting an investment from the venture fund. It's work on both sides, but it's a lot of fun to be here.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you guys. You truly make the program, and I couldn't pick 2 better folks. Ashley is behind the scenes monitoring all of the questions. So if you guys have any questions for Miley, for Jack, for myself, be sure to post those in there. She'll make sure to feed us those questions. Ashley did also remind me that both of you guys have received an award. We have every year, a couple of our mentors get as voted by our teams and community here, and the team here, the High Altitude Mentor Award, the HAM Award. So both of you have received that as well, which
We are both hams.
you're both hams. Hams in our book. So I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, and then we'll start jumping into some of the questions from folks online. Common pitfalls. I'd love to, you've worked with a number of teams, you've invested in a few. Miley, you've worked with dozens, you've both been involved with startups yourselves. What are some of those common pitfalls that you guys generally see, have run into as a mentor, and things that you end up spending a lot of time with companies on, given your background and your skill sets? Jack, if you want to start.
Sure. It's been said often, but everything takes longer, costs more, and you have to build that into your plan. The other is contacting the enemy, getting out there and trying to sell your, even if it's the concept first, to see what reaction you get, because you have to sell eventually what you have. So it's really important that you get contact with the consumers, that when you pick the right person or entity to go after, that you target the market well, but then you, even early on, get contact. So you say, gee, this is, if I have this product, would you buy? You get some sort of feedback. As you mature the product and your concept, actually go out and sell. That will be the feedback that is most critical to you.
All right. Great ones. Miley.
I don't know if she can still hear us.
Miley, can you still hear us?
I can, but I'm frozen on this plane with a big sneer.
All right. Generally, it comes back with Crowdcast platform. So feel free to jump into the question at least.
Okay, absolutely. So this is a common call that I see working with various startups and various programs such as this, and it's really human nature. So mentors really want to help out, and in every which way, and can get very passionate and have lots of great information. Often I've seen CEOs and founders, co-founders and such just get completely overwhelmed with a lot of the feedback and the advice and the input and the suggestions, the help and all of that. So I think there's just a huge tsunami of input and feedback, and it takes time to kind of figure out how to very carefully, how to absorb all of that and ask the kinds of clarifying questions to really get good content, and how to strategically really then filter all of that content and all of those inputs to find those bits of information that are going to be very helpful and very useful, and how to weave that together into something that can be utilized. So the analogy I like to think about is, if you're, for those that are boaters out there, you're in a kayak or whatever, and you're in a stream and it's moving fast, and there's a lot of stuff going down that stream, and there's also a lot of objective hazards. There's rocks, there's waves, there's holes, there's eddies, there's all kinds of input. It's swirling all the time, and there's just a lot coming at you. So the successful kayaker, the strategic thinker, or the river guy is going to be able to read all of that and kind of figure out what's most important, what's most useful, what's going to help determine somebody's best path or approach, how to use the river, and it's how to use that constant flood or stream of information to tease out and pick out those elements that can inform one's strategy or one's path, instead of trying to take it all in. And so that's a skill that can be developed. And I think it's really important, because I've seen entrepreneurs get really just overwhelmed and just swamped by the constant flood of information. So, providing feedback and mentoring mentors, there's such a thing as reverse mentoring. Mentors learn from startups. And so helping guide mentors in terms of what is needed, but being open to the suggestions and using inquiry to clarify, and then be able to filter and tease out what's useful, and put that together into a strategy. Or if you don't need it, park it someplace else, because you may not need it then, but you could need it later. So that's just something I've seen happen over and over again. And it takes a while to kind of be skillful at that, but it's really important, I think, and to optimize that relationship.
Absolutely. I think that, Miley, you hit something that I care deeply about. I've experienced, and probably one of the number one things I constantly see with teams is the human side of the business. I think almost every founder, especially first-time founders, underestimate the complexity of those human relationships, not just with your co-founders, your teams, but your first customers, your first strategic partnerships, right? Your mentors that you end up working with, the peers around you. And I think the ones that I see succeed the most leverage that. And unfortunately, it's just a really difficult thing that you know, can easily be trivialized, but the most successful founders tend to navigate the human part of that, you know, that river extremely well. So
I'd say one other thing, the having a reverence for cash, because cash equals independence. If you have to go back to your investors after you get around because you have not met your milestones, that is not a fun conversation to have. And it may not turn out the way you want it to turn out. So if you have a good communication skills with your investors and your clients so that everybody knows what's going on, but that you treat cash, if you owe a bank money, you're not independent. You're only independent when you have a positive cash flow and enough to satisfy all of the cash requirements that you have. Then you're independent. Absent that, you're not independent, even if you have some in the balance sheet.
I'm bringing back memories from the last couple classes. I've seen Jack walking around the TVA office with his bat and diving into the financials.
Yeah, it was a soft bat. It was a Nerf bat.
It was a Nerf bat, yeah. No, but that's something I've seen you help and have a tremendous impact with a number of teams in the program here. So great. Actually, I'd love to go, and it looks like you're typing away there. We have some questions, so let's dive into a couple.
Yeah. First question that is asked by the group was, what's an average day like at TVA?
An average day at TVA. I'm happy to give my perspective quickly, and if you guys have anything to add. An average day at TVA, I guess, this year my philosophy is really that, startups are operating entities. I don't view the program as, this isn't a class, this isn't, you're not going to get homework. This is real life, and this is your business. You're going to get advice, you're going to get recommendations, and we're going to make asks of you. And you as an entrepreneur will have the choice to perform on those duties as you see fit, right? At the end of the day, you live and die with your business. We will do everything we can to provide an unfair advantage for you every step of the way through the advice, the network, the capital, everything that we can provide to you. So an average day is really built around setting expectations. Every week, we hope to have roughly about 5 hours of pre-planned programming that you can fit into your schedule. Oftentimes, we'll have an expert coming in on specific topics. Literally, we have some incredible experts. I think we have Jerry Colonna, who's done a lot of work with teams. We've had Brad Feld. We've had just some incredible founders that are coming through our network that will roll up their sleeves for the day with founders or on very specific topics. We want to integrate fun into it. Building a company is probably the hardest thing that you'll ever do in your life. And being in Telluride, we're going to have a powder clause this year. So if there's 6 inches of snow, we're going to make sure that we all take advantage of that. So little things like that, right? Of course, there's work to be done, and it's a lot of the work hard, play hard mentality. Doing it together.
I'm sorry. No, one of the great advantages of being a mentor is that you can go to the classes when the Jerry Colonnas come in, Brad Felds come in. That is absolutely an education that is priceless. Just absolutely priceless.
Yeah.
And you have it, and I know I'm not the only mentor that tags along with those things, because they are exceptional opportunities, just exceptional.
Absolutely. So Ashley, I think I'll come back to you. Do you have a couple additional questions for us?
Your website mentions that you are okay with founders not going VC route post the accelerator. What does that only mean a handful of startups participate in the demo day? How does the demo day look like? Do prominent VCs come to Telluride for demo day? What percentage of startups are tech oriented?
Certainly. So I'd love for you guys to chime in more on a philosophical level here. I'll take it this direction. But a lot of my experience with Techstars, with venture capital, is this reality that not every entrepreneur and not every company is fit to be a billion-dollar company and not a unicorn. And a lot of the VC model is built to support that, and a lot of the methodology and rhetoric around startups is really built around that premise. So I think one thing we're particularly aware of here in Telluride is that there's a lot of great businesses that might be 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, whatever $1 million opportunities. Sure, we might have a couple $1 billion opportunities, but I think the key philosophical approach here is that we don't want to put entrepreneurs on a treadmill of growth at all costs, because that turns out to be a relentless thing. And I venture to say I've seen growth kill more companies than almost anything else at that kind of mid-stage. And so I think that's been shared by a lot of the mentors and a lot of the experience in the program. So I don't know, Miley or Jack.
Well, having gone and done a startup and dealt with VCs, you're right, not every company should be getting that kind of money, because it's money with high expectations, very high expectations. If you are going to go that route, be sure you're really comfortable with the general partner that you'll probably be interfacing with mostly, because that is not a marriage that you want to go bad, because they are very results oriented. As I said earlier, I'm in 4 funds in California, and I know them reasonably well. The one in China, you don't want to be in a Chinese venture fund. They are harder than the guys in Silicon Valley in terms of expectations, and they have a really limited amount of time for non-performance. It's not the route for everybody. That's, I guess the only thing I'd say about it. It's for some, but not all.
Yeah, and Miley, I know that you've seen, this is one of the other, I guess, potential criticisms of a lot of accelerators is demo day. The fact that a lot of demo days and a lot of accelerators really prep people for the only goal and the only metric for success is funding. And, very much I don't think we've ever had that as the only metric for success, and very much don't want that to be the focus. The focus should really be around milestones for the companies and helping them achieve their goals. And if, obtaining outside capital is one of those goals, absolutely, we're going to help them. And clearly, access to resources here in Telluride, one of our biggest strengths. I think that I've seen that time and again, where the entrepreneurs with good ideas, seeking capital. That's something that we are really trying to help leverage locally.
This is such a unique place. I mean, I've lived all over the country a couple of times, and in terms of the talent and the money and the experience of people here, Ted Herrick was in Western Rise with, a fabric company. Now, I sat next to Ted 3 years ago at an angel panel, and I decided to take a quick look at his bio. Really nice guy, $3 billion in assets. Okay, but Ted helped. Western Rise dealt with very high-tech fabrics, and he had a company that actually did that. And so he was able to get them together to, to provide some help to them. And that, I don't know how you put a price on something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, Miley, if you have any opinions there on that topic.
Yes, I do. Like Jack has mentioned, that just the quality and accessibility of the mentors is extraordinary. And I've been in other, accelerators, as I mentioned, out here. But what's unique about Telluride and why I just love being involved is that the depth and the access and the relationships and the networks that the mentors have. But my direct hands-on experience, particularly this past year, what has been so intriguing is that how complementary they all have been, in the sense that everybody brings something different. So as an example, we all, there were several that were very hands-on, very involved that last week, getting the cohorts ready for demo day, and getting, the presentations, their pitch decks and everything all polished, all buttoned up, and just really super, super prepared. And it was really just really fun to work with all the mentors in a very complimentary way. Everybody's bringing something different to help help the startups just show up and be their very best. So everybody brought a different skill, and I thought we worked really well together just with a common goal. And I think that that's the difference, you know, with TAs. There's just so much passion and commitment because the mentors really, really want to help and bring as much as they can. And there's extreme joy and satisfaction and just intrinsic reward by helping and seeing the growth and seeing the response and seeing the success and seeing these businesses come to life. So there's just nothing more satisfactory. I think, you know, that's why we're all in it, is just to be a part of something and help others. And so it's when we have impact, you know, it's just extraordinary. So it's the quality of the program again, and the access and the relationships and the networking, and like Jack said, the introductions, which has just been insane. But I think it's a community that's very strong, and it's very, very nurturing, and I have not seen it replicated. It's really unique and truly one of a kind.
Well, you know, I think of Jeff Katz, the founder of Orbitz. Jeff he's got a laser focus, and in 15 minutes with him, you will go through your story, and he will give you very direct feedback. All of it, you know, I love you, but you know, this
Sometimes hard to hear. Yeah.
This is where I see you need to improve, and it's, you know, you can't hire a Jeff Katz. I mean, you just can't do that. But he comes in here, and last year he was very generous, met with everyone on the team, gave them all feedback, more than one occasion, and that feedback, and it's short sentences, but it really is very direct, and it's invaluable.
I think that's really important, especially with a lot of some of the smaller programs I've been involved in. Sometimes there's this idea of, you know, we have to support these companies no matter what, right? And I think that there's enough really, truly experienced mentors who've really been around the block on startups, invested in them, been in part of them, that I think that you get the hard feedback as well. And, you know,
it's good because it's better you find out from him than you find out from a client
yeah.
or an investor.
Absolutely.
You're much better prepared. After you go through your session with Jeff, you're much better prepared, and you have a lot more clarity about what your organization is and isn't.
Yeah. All right. I think Ashley has a couple more questions for us.
What are some of the most important areas of the application, and what can we do beyond submitting a great application to see that we are accepted to the accelerator?
Ooh, perfect. Miley, you've been on the review committee for the last couple of years, and seen at least a lot of the applications coming in. Any advice, having been on the review side?
Yeah, I reviewed a lot of the applications. It's one of the funnest things. So I say the advice is be succinct, answer the question, provide proof points, and just be really, really crisp in the answers, and complete the answers. You know, complete the question. So succinctness, crispness, answer the questions, and you know, don't be afraid to show a little bit of personality. And if you know, things aren't, you know, be honest and frank. But I say be short and to the point. And you know, show that you're doing something different, and really focus on, you know, what is unique, what's the unique point of differentiation, what's the point of view, what are you changing, what are you disrupting, what's the revenue stream, you know, and show that path and the thinking that went into it. And then I'd also say in filling out the application, demonstrate to the extent that you can that you're coachable and that you're willing to work with the program and grow not only your business, but grow as an individual and as a founder and as a leader, and show that ability to be coachable and to be mentored. Super, super important. And you know, how you're going to show up, essentially, because it's really what we've seen is with the classes is as much with that conviction, that passion, and also that that level of commitment to yourself and to the class. When there's a strong chemistry, when everybody's pulling for themselves and others, we've seen that just break through in terms of all kinds of shatter all kinds of ceilings and really really propel that class to the next step. So that was really, I think, one of the exciting things last year is that everybody was pulling so hard for themselves and for each other. And it's the chemistry that kind of put things over the top and why it was so unique and special. So those are some of the things that we're looking for in the application, is that potential and that commitment and that passion. But get to the point with it all.
I agree with you. I think there's real clarity around what you're solving, and admit the holes you have. Nobody going into the accelerator is expected to be a complete, company with all of the problems solved and all of the key elements that you need for success there already. If you have the self-awareness to understand what it is that you really need help in, that's important to show that you have that self-awareness.
I couldn't agree more. I think having gone through all the applications that have been coming and finalized at least to date, I see two things stand out. Number one is our companies that are really trying to impress you versus say, here's what's good, here's what's bad, here's what I need help with.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing is really related, but there's one specific question on the application which talked about what are the goals, the milestones, the things you hope to achieve in the accelerator program. The companies that have the most clarity on that, I think, seem to stand out to me the most, because I can instantly say, oh, you're trying to get 10 new, 3 new partnerships in this industry, or 10,000 users, or whatever it is. And I can quickly look at that and say, that's a very tangible goal. That's something you're driven towards, and we can help you or not. Because part of our job as an accelerator is not just to accept anybody and everybody that has high potential. It's really to look at our network, our program, and say, can we give you truly an unfair advantage for your business? And it's got to be a fit on both sides.
Yeah, you're going to hold yourself accountable.
Great. Next question is, what is something everyone that gets accepted into TVA has in common?
Great people.
They work hard.
They work hard.
They work smart.
Yeah.
They put their ego at the door, and to Molly's point, accept the coaching, because there are a lot of very, very successful people who are there to help you. And as I've said to some of the people, I'm a great benefit to you because I've made so many mistakes that, this is an encyclopedia. I survived it, but I would have rather not made a whole bunch of them, and I can see some of those freight trains going into brick walls, and I can help you, and so many other people, and just be open to the fact that may be an issue.
Absolutely. I'm trying to simplify it. Tenacity
Miley has
is
something.
definitely one. Sorry, Miley, go ahead.
Fire in the belly.
Fire in the belly.
Fire in the belly, exactly. Tenacity. Yeah, it's just, I think that's in general one of the most important characteristics of an entrepreneur. Obviously, you have to be smart. You have to have some reason that you're actually, trying to solve this problem. You have to have a good team by your side. But you have to want it more than the next guy.
You have to know that you will, at the end of the day, be successful no matter what happens.
Exactly. A lot of entrepreneurs fall in love with, the solutions, not necessarily the problems. They get so hung up in it. No, it needs to be this way because I believe this. And sometimes the information and the data, tells you that it may not be feasible. And a lot of the great entrepreneurs say, well, maybe if I go back and try to approach the problem slightly differently, right?
Well, it's that the target doesn't have the right problem.
Yeah, there you go. Well put.
And you're not going to create it in their mind.
One thing special about Telluride, I think, is an appreciation for the outdoors, kind of the mindfulness, the journey that you're on as an entrepreneur. I think is a very important part of I think everybody involved, all the reason that a lot of people end up in Telluride, that plays a big part of our lives as well.
Great. Are there any considerations for non-American applicants at visas that we should be aware of?
Considerations for non-American applicants. Absolutely, we've accepted non-American applicants historically. Last year we had a team from Estonia and a team from Canada get in. There's a couple ways to slice that on the visa side. I've actually been working with some of my friends at the startup visa program. We have some ties into the White House and some really great lawyers. So to the extent that teams might come here, maybe on a 3 or 6 month visa, the odds of hopefully getting, whether it's an EP1, an H1B, a L2, or whatever the visa options are, we've got some experience and some great connections to help navigate that, to make it an opportunity to hopefully stay a lot longer, should that be the right thing for you and your company.
Great. Does TVA foster opportunities to present to and speak with high-level decision makers at businesses within our target markets?
The short answer is absolutely. I can think of a couple examples. Miley, Jack, do you guys have any examples of maybe teams that might be the most powerful? I'm thinking of the Alpha Omega, the introduction you made for them, the connection for Go Fish Cam in Europe. Miley, I know that you've worked with, now we're on the board of Hyperlight, but you made some things possible for them that wouldn't have otherwise been imaginable.
Yeah, the Alpha Omega, they were trying to go into the education market, and I knew the former president of McGraw-Hill, and they have a huge education operation, and he's still very active. And I asked if he would meet with them. He has a house up here, as not uncommon, and second, third, fourth homes for some people. And I said, look, can you give him 15 minutes? We were there about an hour and a half, and he made phone calls and connections for them.
Great example. Miley, I know you've worked a lot with Western Rise too. Any specifics?
Yeah. So probably the one that jumped out at me was the Dirt. 3 years ago, they were headed out to, hearing a little bit of echo here, but hopefully you guys aren't hearing on that end.
No,
but they went out to Outdoor Retailer Trade Show, and I made a bunch of introductions to the heads of marketing of various outdoor companies. They went out and interviewed them and did some video work, and it was kind of their first foray to start building relationships with potential partners, many of whom came on board. I remember specifically Marmot, and then there were others. That's really got them going. We gave them some cred and some legitimacy, out of the gate, and kind of got them going on their path. So that was a big one. And I've worked, closely with Hyperlight. I'm on their board now, so there's been a lot of work and investment there, and a lot of introductions, and I'm spending quite a bit of time, as I always have, on Hyperlight, which is just, I think, a huge success story, and they're just crushing it right now. It's really exciting to see. I'm really, really optimistic, really excited to see what Western Rise is doing, and likewise, I'm always looking for a way in which I can help out Kelly and Well, because I really believe in what they're doing. So with other startups, I've worked with other accelerators. I really helped bring in agency resources in pro bono, and because those opportunities are available out there as packaging needs to get done, as brand work needs to get done, as marketing collateral or product graphics need to get done. So that's an area that I've had success in bringing pro bono agency resources to bear. So whatever it takes. So just dig through the contacts, and people want to help, and you just got to ask, got to get lined up, get the intro, and make the ask, and those opportunities are there. So I see us as enabling that, yeah. So
Miley, I should say on behalf of the Telluride Venture Fund, who is an investor in Hyperlight, thank you very much for all the work that you do. It's a great part of the portfolio.
Oh.
Hyperlight, for those of you, they were one of the year one teams in TVA. Just the last note on the corporate connections, I think with the power and caliber of the network here in Telluride, I can guarantee finding somebody at a lot of these big corporations is a very unique opportunity. I've got a deep network of the heads of innovation at a lot of the active corporations based on my background as well. So I think navigating that world, getting introductions to at least the right type of people who can help you with decision makers, that's absolutely something that I would.
And I think if anybody just looked at the list of mentors and their associations and corporate involvement, you would get an idea. Those are mentors. You would get an idea of how broad that category can be.
Yeah.
Cool. We have about 5 questions left in about 15 minutes. So.
All right. We'll fire through them a little quicker.
Perfect. Can you give more detail about your due diligence process of shortlisted startups?
Due diligence process for shortlisted startups. A couple of things are going to happen. A number of people are going to be reviewing your application. That's kind of the first step. The second thing is we're going to be asking for reference checks. Basically, people you have worked with in the past. We'll ask for 2 to 3. And then the final thing is the last hurdle is just a background check, like a legal background check, like an employer might do. Just to make sure that you don't have any, unassuming felonies or anything. That's more of a legal due diligence that we just have to do for our investors and stakeholders. So those are kind of the 3 main parts there. I'm not sure, any advice? I don't know if there's anything else to add on that, Miley or Jack.
I don't think there's anything tricky. It's just
through
the process.
Perfect. Could you speak to the actual average day question, the one we had earlier, the first question? The actual workspace, do we come in every day to a space and spend 8 to 10 hours working alone? Do we work with mentors? Do we work with you?
Absolutely. Good question. Sorry I didn't get a little bit more specific. We're actually sitting in just a little corner here in our lounge area in the space. We actually have what looks like, most everybody's familiar with, like a co-working space. We have a great co-working space up here in the Peaks Hotel. It is ski in, ski out. I mentioned that. We have all the teams located in one spot. So it is, kind of that high energy co-working. We have our mentors that come out here as well when we're in town. We have a couple of conference rooms. And this is also in complement. We have a co-working space also located in the town of Telluride, which is a short gondola ride away. I'm not joking. And so we have a couple different options, but we do expect folks to be in the space working together most of the time. And this is also where we will hold most of our mentor workshops and sessions as well. And we have other spaces, if folks need quiet time and some privacy to focus on getting those.
Great. What type of IT support do you provide? Coding languages used as example of like JS, Swift, Unity, etc.
Yeah, we have a number of mentors on the technical side as well. I think Aaron Silverman is probably one of the local, very, very engaged technical mentors.
He's really smart.
Incredibly smart, like literally one of the top technologists I've ever had a chance to work with. And so we've got support in our networks, basically any language that you're working on, any platform that you're working on. This is something, if this is a specific question, let's nail this down in the application process. Ask us and we can help identify those key people. You know, even going into blockchain, we literally have one of the individuals who helped invent blockchain. They were the senior vice president of emerging technologies for the London Stock Exchange, living and working from Telluride. But some truly incredible technical talent that lives here, that's part of our network, that we can get you support. On the corporate side, we have access to all of the evangelists for product teams at organizations like Google and Microsoft and Amazon Web Services, and you know, some of the bigger providers that do tend to have programs that support startups.
Next question, is it possible to be accepted into the program if you don't yet have the team assembled you want, or the full-time team you do have might not be able to move to Telluride? Will TVA accept teams with just one person who's ready and motivated to take their company to the next level?
Yeah, so we're always looking for the most complete teams as possible, right? And it has to do with what's your next milestone, and do you have the team to attack that right now? So we're going to be looking for the answer to be as close to yes as possible for that. We can supplement a little bit with our mentor network, but at the end, you are the team that is doing, you know, you're waking up every day and you are going to focus on this. That said, you know, a growing team and a growing startup is an amorphous thing, and that's something we can be incredibly helpful with, helping you identify what are your real needs, who are your talent, how do we go out and potentially find that talent. So building a team is a huge part of any business, the hardest part and the most important part, I would say. And then the last part of your question, I believe, was around having one founder. I truly believe it is the most beneficial thing you can do with a co-founder or co-founders to go through a program like this. Depending on, you know, what your business is, some businesses themselves better than remote workforces. We are willing to consider either solo founders or only one founder being located here. That's something we'll look at a case-by-case basis based on you, your background, the skill set, the team, because we want you to get the most out of this experience, and we'll try to be as honest with you as we can based on what we've seen be successful, you know, in programs like this.
Great. And then, can companies just getting started with no revenue yet get accepted into TVA?
The short answer is yes. We, you know, I think as you see with both Miley and Jack, we have an incredibly, almost insanely experienced mentor network. I tend to describe it as, you know, compared to a lot of other accelerators, even some of the big guys, a top-heavy mentor network. So we have a lot of folks with a tremendous amount of experience. I can put you in front of an ex-executive from Goldman Sachs, or Cats, or, you know, some founder of GoPro, right? Like a number of truly incredible people that are really engaged in the program. But if you don't even know who your customer really is, you don't know what your product offering is, you know, it's hard for them to be helpful, right? And so we do tend to look for companies that have some indication of product market fit, that indication that revenue is king, and, you know, customers are secondary. So we will be at least looking for some sign of validation, traction, product market fit in the form of, you know, customers and hopefully customers.
Perfect. And the last question, which I think is one that Miley and Jack can help with, is can you give some words of advice, maybe 3 pieces, to an applicant/company that is just starting, i.e. no revenue yet, working to raise money, working on prototypes, all that stuff?
I think we all have plenty of advice here. My number 1 piece of advice: go to a startup weekend. Yes, I'm biased, but I've seen it play out thousands of times, literally. Number 2 is your community is the most important thing you have, because being an entrepreneur is a life choice. It's a journey. It's not just about this idea. It's about this one, the next one, and the one after that, most likely. And having that network and people around you to, you know, help champion you and celebrate the days, but also be there for you in the bad days, for you as well.
I can't emphasize enough. We just went to a startup weekend here.
And
yeah, we had a great one. And It was about twice as many people came as were expected, which is good. Okay. But it was an incredible experience. And I didn't go as a mentor, I ended up as a team member. And I learned from that. And I've been through an awful lot. But boy, I learned a lot. And I saw so many important issues just become raw right in front of you. And you have to address them right then, because by Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, you need to be ready to do your pitch. I can't emphasize enough that Mark's comment about going to a startup weekend. They're all over the world, and it is an incredible. It is something you really want to do. You'll find out an awful lot about yourself, about your idea, about how people work together, how people don't work together, and there's no substitute for it.
Miley?
Yeah, Miley.
Oh, I'm just drooling, wondering, gosh, I need to catch the next startup weekend. I missed that one. I don't have anything to add. I think you guys said it all for the most part. So I was just so enraptured listening to that startup weekend. I need to go.
We'll rope you in. All right, actually, any final questions? Okay, I think we're coming up on time here. So again, if you guys have any questions at all, please reach out. A big part, as I mentioned, a big part of our application process is making sure you get connected with folks like Jack, like Miley. I've already been floating some of the applications in by Miley. Miley, you've had 1 or 2 phone calls. Jack, you've met with a couple of them in person here. So, we are truly making sure that we can give you some type of unfair advantage. As you get serious about the application process, you finalize that application, and as we go through this. So, with that, remember to finish your application. Thank you, Ashley.
Video management is
yeah. And let's see, again, reach out, email us, Mark, Ashley at TellurideVA.com. We're a resource for you. Don't feel like you have to do this application all on your own either. And my last thank you, I guess, really is going to go to you, Jack, and you, Miley. Again, you're wonderful representations, and I've had the chance to work with a lot of amazing people. You two truly are, I consider you friends, from hanging out at Startup Weekend, Jack, working with you there, hanging out to a retailer. I've already learned a lot from you both, and I'm honored to call you also friends.
Well, the nice thing about this is fun. I mean, this is absolutely, it's a lot of work. It's fun.
Absolutely. Fun to wake up every day and to work with entrepreneurs. It's infectious.
I'll echo
All right.
that, and just going to do it in Telluride. Can't wait to get back. That Box Canyon has magic in it, and I think that's the secret sauce right there.
Absolutely. Perfect. And thank you guys, everybody who tuned in today. Really appreciate you spending some time with us and asking questions, and we'll hopefully look for your application. We'll go from there.
Perfect.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. And we have Dax.
Yeah, we have Dax, yes, the mentor dog.
Yeah.